Hello, hi everybody. Welcome to the Moving Markets, episode 5. All right. So, for the audience, thank you for tuning in. Right, you might be wondering, hey, where is Desmond, our usual host? Okay, so I've got something to announce. Desmond, congratulations to him. He just had his first baby, right? So, for this session, I'll be taking over. All right, I'm Ethan, COO at InvestingNote. All right, so joining us today, it's our special guest, Binni. Hi, Binni, how are you?
Hello, hi Ethan. How everyone? How are you?
Yeah,
Nice to
so
be here.
Binni, if you all don't know, she's the founder and the chief trainer at Terraseeds, right? So, Binni, she's also a SGX Academy trainer as well. Binni, can I trouble
I
you to
introduced
do
myself.
a yes,
Can.
yes, quick introduction.
Okay, good. Thanks a lot for asking me here to share. So, just give you a broad background. Trading, I've been doing about maybe 20 plus years. A lot of the investing node community I've trained before the people. Some of the trainers they have attended my lessons, etc. So my main instrument is in the morning. I start my day with exercise. It's a compulsory thing I need to do. Today I was not feeling very well, so I just skipped that. Then I look into the Singapore market. So doing the SIMSKI, the futures market. I also have a IBF course, together with SGX Academy to teach you guys on the SIMSKI trading, futures trading. Then the Hong Kong market, so that's my main market. Then, as you know, the other side is to trade in the forex and the indexes. So I'm doing a lot of automations because a huge role of my job is to design trade system for funds, family offices, professional traders. So my own trading is very very automated. In fact, that is probably maybe 98% to 100% automated already. Then at
Wow.
night, I'll just do a little bit of a US option spreads. I usually will sleep quite early, 10:30, 11. So I usually will stop my training at 10:30 and my students know that I need to go to sleep. So at 10:30, they will tell me, hey, Binni, you should end already. You should go and sleep already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Sim
yeah.
so if you're can see, right, Binny is actually a very advanced and skilled trader lah. So, let's get her opinion on what's happening in both the Singapore and the Hong Kong market. Binny,
Okay. As you
over to
guys
you.
know, yeah, thanks a lot, Ethan. As you guys know, right, today is Buddha holiday in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong and China, they are not trading. All right. And Singapore is trading, but today is a little bit flat. So let me just share my chart because usually what I like to do is I like to do live sharing. So I won't be preparing anything here. So just let me just move around. Just give me a minute. Okay, so here we go. All right, so you should be able to see my slide right now because I can see on another screen. Okay, so let's take a look at the Singapore market. Okay, so STI is right now uh, you know, down a little bit. So that's not significant. So what I usually like to do is I like to look at the bigger picture. That means the higher time frame. So this is the higher time frame, which I think everybody should know about STI. All right. So I switch to the month to look at the big picture, the really the big picture. A few things to take note of. All right. Number one is that if you take a look at the probability, meaning that if you were to buy somewhere around here, which is around 3003 or 3004, then we are up against a series of resistance, okay, historical highs. Okay, so historical highs, such as, for example, we can see a previous high map around here near to 2013, all right. And if you just move a little bit further, all right, then that's probably around this place here, which is 2010, another one more high here. So these are all the historical levels, and not to mention we have one which is very near, which is 2019. Okay, so all these are all the resistance level that STI is up to historical levels. Okay, so it needs a lot of drivers for STI to break above it. Okay, so what are the drivers we are looking at? Okay, so for example, drivers from the banks. meaning that the three banks, they need to move a bit higher, or they need to consolidate and have enough strength to break through the current high they're experiencing right now. Okay, so as you know that the US is rising rate, so rate hike is known to be good for the banks. But when you have persistent periods of rate hike, it's going to affect into the bank's interest income, because then less people are borrowing and they find that they might want to decrease their consumptions, whether they want to buy less cars or less house, right? So therefore, STI is up against this whole bit of a resistance here, and I think that you're not surprised to find why STI hasn't really been moving. So one of the things that might evolve into this pattern is it might continue to move in the range situation. Range means that we will likely be trading towards the two highs here as the resistance, and then they probably witness a bit of a low into the into the current lows at about 3,130. What I did is I just mapped in this horizontal level here, all right, and that's the marker for a bit of a support for STI to come in, which is 3,250. All right, so that's like a immediate support level. But I want to highlight we might be having a little bit of a short-term rebound in STI if the US market is going to do well. That means that the across the board, the three US indexes, Nasdaq, S&P 500, and Dow Jones, we're going to see a bit of a support coming in. Because why? At this level, I'm just going to clean away all my chart. At this level, it's a very important level. All right, why is that so? All right, if you remember what happened to the market before COVID, so this was the period that's before COVID here, around October, December 2019. So this was the high of the pre-COVID level, and after that, STI, or rather the world market plunged. Okay, so right now we are up into this level here. So if you are trading into DLC, all right, what I usually do for my DLC classes with SGX Academy is to watch out for key levels. Okay, that means right now it's probably near to a key level, and to watch out for reactions. All right, that means a bit of a rebound here to trade right into the gap. Okay, so there was a bit of a gap here, but I presume that it might be close because that gap was due to an overnight drop in the US market. All right, so there's a bit of a support coming in for STI at around this level here. Okay, so you might want to take a look at the Simsky in terms of the DLC trading that's offered in SocGen. Okay, so that's number one here. Now, number two, if you are taking the look at the STI, then I think that you'll be very, very concerned about the banks. Okay, so I'm just going to do bring out one bank, and that's DBS. Note that all the three banks, they have given out their dividends. All right, so usually once the banks have given out the dividends, the movement will be a little bit quiet. Okay, so this is DBS here. Few things to bring out. Number one, the trend is still up. Okay, meaning that we are looking at still DBS in a very, very healthy uptrend. Right, the green line here, something to take note. Okay, again, let's stream to the monthly chart to take a look at the very, very important price levels. And when you are trading into DLCs, right, these levels here, which are very, very important markers, they would be noted by the market. So why do I want to take note of 3130, this level? That was the historical high given by DBS over so many years. Okay, and we finally had a closed above that historical high. All right, recently the market also sort of agreed that they are watching this historical high because there's a bit of a tail here, right? So we can see that there's a bit of tail here. So in this case here, do watch out. And in your chart, what I usually like to do is to place a marker or an alert around this level here, and as well as this key level about $32.50. Now, why $32.50? That was one of the historical high, but one thing, if you just put in, let's say, a moving average of 200 days moving average. So I have this 200 days moving average visualized in a weekly chart. Okay, so this 200 days moving average has been supporting DBS very well. Okay, and as you know, a lot of people are watching this very key moving average here. So it means that probably around this level here, which is about 3260 plus minus around this level, there might be a slight rebound. But all in all, DBS is moving slightly downward for the short term. So do watch out for a bit of a trading range, right? At this blue line here. Okay, so these are the two places I'm watching because I'm trading the levels, all right? And levels are very important to help, right, in terms of identifying trade opportunities. So what I do in my SGX class on DRC, right, is to track the levels and to go to the price metrics to look for corresponding prices of the DLCs. So later I will just move slightly to there, all right, and talk about how to use the levels to look into the DLC in terms of selections. Okay, so we have DBS, the bank, because I usually get a lot of questions in the banks, right? So let me know whether you have any questions in the bank that you want me to answer in the comment section so that I can sort of, give you my feedback on the banks. Okay, so if I can just move on to the other sector which I'm interested is actually the oil and gas sector. I think for oil and gas sector, the key company to look out for Singapore would be Keppel Corp. Okay, so this Keppel Corp, right, it's right now in a very interesting situation here. Why do I say that? Previously, when I was doing the SGX session, I actually talked about Keppel Corp. Right, Keppel Corp broke out of this ranging pattern here. So this ranging pattern was about a year pattern. So it broke out. So we were talking at that point of time to consider a long DLCs, and that trade works very well. So it hit into our profit target. Why is it that the $7 is a key profit target? So that's because of this level here, historical horizontal levels. Okay, in fact, that the market is watching these levels. So in the SGX session that I did, right, last week on 4th May, I highlighted on Keppel Corp as well as a potential, short target to look for a short-term sell. Okay, because with DRC we can do a bit of a short-term price movement, but all in all, if you take a look at the general movement of Keppel Corp, I'm still looking for buy as well. That means for a chance to get into the long DLC. So for the short term, we are looking for short DLCs. And one of the cool instruments that perhaps today I want to bring to attention, we use a lot of linear regressions in our programming because that's one of the way that we use to predict prices. Especially if in my work with the institutions, all right, they like to use a lot of all these linear regressions, channels, etc. All right, so if I just put it in right in the linear regression channel here, you can see the reason why there was a pause in Keppel Corp because it's actually at the top of the linear regression channel. All right, I love this type of automations because you can see things very easily. So instead of drawing the trend lines or horizontal levels, then this can help us see that, hey, look, indeed, there's a bit of a resistance coming in. So if this is the case, that we are facing a bit of a short-term, resistance, all right, then where would be the next support levels, right? So I mean that you have just guessed that that's probably around the 630 level. So that's the previous high. So do watch out for the 630 levels. All right. So I'm just going to make a bit of a marker here at the 630 level here every time. And for me, what I like to do is I just like to, have an alert to myself. Okay. Because then if 630 is going to be important, sometimes I may not be around on my desk to trade that. So a bit of alert whenever I'm like away and I get that, levels and I get that trade. I won't miss that trade. So look out for a resistance of Keppel Corp and, probably 630 as potential to, consider some bullish opportunity. All right. So these are the two stocks that we are watching for the Singapore market. But as you know, that I also trade quite a lot into the Hong Kong market. So let's take a look at the selections of Hong Kong stocks, right, that I have prepared for you. Number one, it's these stocks here, which is quite popular to a lot of the trading community in Singapore, which is Meituan. So the stock suffered quite heavily, badly, right? Because if you look at how much it's dropped, okay, from a high of 450, it's like to 110. So that's really a huge drop here. Okay, and I'm not sure whether you've questioned, all right, why did price ever stop here at 105? Okay, so same thing. What I usually like to do is I look at the big picture here as a first planning. So if you can't find anything in the week chart, I just zoom in the month chart to have a bit of a clearer view. Okay, in my training career, a lot of students ask me, should I focus on the hourly chart, or should I be looking at the minute chart for trade? Well, that's the execution time frame. But when you are doing the planning, right, then just make sure that the at least for the funds and the institutions I'm working with, they are always focusing on the big picture. So we start to analyze from the big picture here, right? So one key line that you have to take note for this stock, Meituan, is the long-term trend line that I'm going to draw. Okay, so I'm just going to connect these 2 points here. All right, and you find that it's going to be very interesting because with these 2 points here, by extending the line to the right side, it sort of connected and predicted the recent low here. Okay, so of course the bad news is that if price, let's say Meituan, eventually is to break below this green line, which is a green long-term trend line that I've drawn in here. So this is going to be a bad news for a lot of e-commerce tech stock listed in the Hong Kong market. But if it doesn't, then with a correction from a correction of 450 all the way to this level, I think that's going to become a little bit more interesting and attractive. Of course, we know that during that means the period during the COVID, right? Meituan broke out of this recent high here. So I'm just going to emphasize this recent high here. All right. So that there are various reasons why we are seeing a rebound right now in the Hong Kong tech stocks, because they are all near to their starting point before the COVID. Right. So what I like to do is I like to pay attention to all these key levels here. So key levels such as around 125, 130, or even the horizontal line that I've just mapped in here, 115. Okay, and I always like to trade on a retest. Retest means that it's the same thing as knocking a door. So when you have a door and you want to knock it down, right? The first time when you knock it, it's going to weaken the structure. Doesn't mean that it is going to break the door, right? You might not be breaking the door. So second time when you knock it again, it's going to weaken the structure again. And the third time, perhaps, right, a successful break of that door. Okay, so same thing for prices. Okay, so when prices wants to have a change of hands, they want to retest in that levels a couple of times. Okay, by retesting, it's sort of to firm up the support level or the resistance levels. All right, so with this level here around here, all right, I'm looking at this whole zone here. But the near-term trading, what you can do for the long near-term trading is that a lot of all these tech stocks, right, they have a very nice movement up recently. Okay, why do I say they have very nice movement up recently? Because if you track a little bit on the volume, all right, during last week, what happened was that last week, China actually came out with the CCP meeting. They said they would be increasing domestic consumptions. They would be giving a boost to the economy. In fact, if you're trading in Hong Kong, you know that there's a rumor going around, rumor only, that the China is going to start its economic stimulus. Okay, but that rumor didn't really happen. But I think the market is still trading on that and on that rumor. So for me, it will be looking just purely at the price action. All right, things like we have the short term that with this huge bounce up last week and that increase in volume, I'll be looking always at a retracement manner to buy into the stocks. Okay, meaning that for me, for myself, it's you hardly find that I will buy in this huge surge up. All right, I might miss the opportunity, but always I find a lot more lucrative and attractive to be buying on a retracement after the huge surge, especially when the stocks is generally in a downtrend. Okay, so when the stock is in an uptrend, so we tend to be a little bit more aggressive in our approach, right? When we want to enter a trade. But when we are catching this rebound here, which is essentially still a downtrend situation but on a strong support, then what I like to do is I like to wait for price to retrace. So how do I note the price retracement? So easily we can just take in a tool like Fibonacci retracement here, draw in the recent high to the low and be waiting at some key levels for retracement. Okay, so we have, for example, last Friday, this stock here, Meituan, stopped at 50%. But if you want to have a little bit of a discount, you might just want to look into the 62%, which is around $148. Okay, why 62%? So that's because if you look left a little bit, you realize that there was a bit of a cluster here around the 62% at $148. All right, so that becomes a level that we are watching out for reaction. So usually for myself, I will just take note of this 62%, $148, and then to choose the DLC, all right, by going into the price metrics. Okay, so let me just move on to the DLC, because usually what I like to do is I usually would just show the DLC website to all of you. Okay, so this is the DLC website by Societe. Let me just browse a little bit, right? If you go into the news session, so this one here, you will come into the stock, the course, right, that I'm doing together with Societe and SGX, which is a course on trading into momentum stocks. Okay, what's momentum? You want to trade into stocks that potentially might have a huge surge. So I've designed this method, which is to use automations, all right, to come up with, intersection points, right, where we're going to find a potential place where it's going to burst. Okay, so you might just want to take a look into this stock later. I just share a little bit more because the course is 3 hours. It's a free course. All right, but let's move on to the focus here, which is potentially if you are looking at Meituan, then how do you choose that DLC, and then how do you know the price of DLC? So for example, we can search for Meituan here, and then we'll usually be looking at the DLCs which are more relevant. Okay, so they have the stars and then they have the sensitivity. So we're going to choose the one which is lesser in sensitivity. All right, so that's the choice. And as well as if you want, you can just go for spread percent to choose the one with the lower spread percent. So there are two factors to choose. One is spread percent, one is the sensitivity. And of course, I'm looking for a long in Meituan, so I just highlight the daily long here. So there are a lot of daily longs that we can choose from. Okay, so we choose the low sensitivity, the lowest, so that's around the daily long DMHW, or you can be looking at DNGW. So both very healthy in sensitivity, as well as somewhere up here, which is DJEW. Okay, so now let's say I'm just going to focus on DJEW here. All right, so click on that. Okay, and then under this price metrics, so this is a price metrics here. And because I'm waiting for Meituan about 148, right? Because I note that level down already. Okay, so scroll down and you're going to find that, that 148 levels here. Okay, but because the levels I'm waiting, it's a little bit lower, so it's not being reflected here. So let's say, for example, if I'm waiting for 155 levels, okay, so then therefore I will be looking at the corresponding value of Meituan DLCs for this DLC, about 58 cents, or even, just give a bit of a round up, all right? So that's about 59 or even 60 cents, okay? So I like to wait for that retracement. I like to wait for that, that key levels, and then watch for the reaction at the key level. So same thing, let's say I have Kappa Corp. All right, I'm looking at 630, or for example, I want to sell the Kappa Corp again at $7 because that's a very, very strong resistance levels. So I'll be searching for Kappa Corp here. So Kappa Corp. All right, and then we have the short and the long DLCs. So today Singapore is trading, so we have the short DLC again. Choose the sensitive one. So that's about either the DGKW or DAZW. All right, because the expiry for the DAZW is a little bit near, right? So that's why you start to see a little bit of a more interest coming into this one here. All right, so let's just go into DGKW. So under DGKW, under the price metrics, I can take a look at what happened if Kappa Corp is near to $7. Okay, so if Kappa Corp is near to $7, right, that's about 37 cents to 35 cents. So I get a sense that if I want to Q limit to sell Kappa Corp again, then that DLC valuations would be probably near to, let's say, around 37 or 36 cents, plus minus around there. So you don't have a sense that you are going blind in terms of the DLC prices if you're using that horizontal level. It's the same thing as doing breakout or in any form of strategy that you're doing. All right, I always recommend to take that levels to check the DLC's prices here so that we know, and what kind of prices that we should be expecting. Okay. In fact, let's say for example, if I'm expecting that Kappa Corp might be going into the 630 level here, for example, then I want to know what price that I want to exit my DLC. Okay, so potentially I might be buying at 36 cents and to exit maybe like 58 cents. So I have all that planned already. Okay, so that's a bit of an introduction of how I look at the DLC prices in terms of the stock prices. So just another few more stocks that I just want to highlight, especially into the tech sector. Okay, and the next one is JD. So I won't go to the JD in Hong Kong, but just go to the JD in terms of the US listed stocks. But that's what I want to bring you to attention to one key level in JD. All right, and again, let's go into the month chart. You'll be very, very interested to find that yes, JD has been coming down, but the current level that we are seeing JD right now was that historical high level. All right, that a lot of this Hong Kong listed tech stocks, they broke. Okay, so they broke that historical high level, and a lot of them are retracing, have retraced to that historical high level already. Okay, that means that it seems to say that COVID make them moved up one whole huge round, and they're right now back to where they started off. So it's a very, very interesting situation right now for the Hong Kong tech stocks because they are back to that very, be pre-COVID valuation. Okay, in a way, if you see these as cheap, that becomes an opportunity. All right. So again, it's all about valuations. It's all about, whether you can find trading opportunities around this level here. Okay. Now with this, then you might want to go into, the list of, DLCs to check through. So I have lists of DLCs here, for example, JD, right? You can't see that historical levels in JD, but, again, we've witnessed a huge, very nice volume here. All right. And if you just put in the linear regression, like for example, in the weekly chart, okay, definitely you're going to find that it into a very nice level. Okay, if you put that into the US stocks. All right. Okay, so let me just talk about the short-term, again, levels here. So same thing, draw a Fibonacci retracement up here. You find that they are into some key levels. And of course, I look left a little bit to find for some horizontal, confluence. And that's about the 76% level. Okay, so that's about 217 here. Okay, so same strategy. Because of the huge surge last week, I'm looking at that retracement this week. So just waiting for the Hong Kong market to open. The other one, last one I want to introduce is BYD. BYD, if you are trading the Hong Kong market, BYD is huge in terms of EV, electronic vehicles, and also a lot of major parts, right? What happened to BYD is, it doesn't make a new low. Okay, a lot of the e-commerce tech stock make a new low, but for JD it doesn't, and that's a very, very strong hint in terms of the strength. All right. Same thing. I've just put in a linear regression here, right? It's right at the bottom. Okay, the nice thing about BYD is it is potentially right now forming an inverted head and shoulder. Okay, you can see this very nice left shoulder here, and then the head and the right shoulder. All right. Same thing. I don't like to trade on the breakout because I've already met in that breakout price about 255. I'll be looking at the range play, for a while first, okay, which is about 218, 17 for that, horizontal level. As a potential range play. Same, right? We can take this and then we can go into the price metrics to check for the price of JD. To check the price of BYD and its corresponding DLC prices. Okay, so do browse through a lot of the Hong Kong listed e-commerce tech stocks. Okay, because for one reason, they are now back into the pre-COVID high. All right. So if this could be the takeaway in this session, I think that should be the takeaway in this session here. All right, Ethan, I've done for my part because it's right now 12:30. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to take that.
All right. Thank you, Binni, for sharing. I think it's very interesting insights there, right? So I think for Binni's style, she uses quite I can see that it's quite a long time frame, right? Weeks and even months, right? So if anybody got any
because
questions, yeah, sorry, Binni, you were saying?
because for this situation, I want to look into the month, all right, just for this situation, right? Because it's all into a historical levels. Okay, without looking at the months, we can't check these historical levels. But what I like to encourage to do is I like to encourage, the use of cascading. That means we look at the month, for example, to look at the levels. But then when we trade, we be just looking at the day for execution. Okay, so every instrument I'm doing have this structure here, always a higher time frame structure, and then the execution is always at a lower time frame. So when it's forex, for example, then we'll be looking at the day and the week, and the trading time frame would be, let's say, the 4 hourly and 1 hourly. And in my training career, especially, for example, when I meet with new students, they always ask me, "Hey, Binni, can we just trade in the 5 minute?" I always discourage them, partly because when we do too low a time frame and you're not used to it and you're not trained in that, right? It can be very exciting, but it can eat into your account very quickly. That means you can make a loss very quickly. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, if it's just, 1 minute or even 5 minutes, right? Too much noise going on, too many things happening at the same time. Yeah, I
Yes.
would agree.
So yeah, it's really depending on instruments. So when we trade into, let's say, crypto for automations, yes, we do that and we use that. We do it using automations. So that's very fast and we can control that with automations, but not really with non-automated instruments.
All right, guys, any questions for Binni before we end the session? So,
Yeah.
Mr. Tin Thank, actually, he said thank you.
Yeah,
Shout
I
out to
saw that.
him.
Thanks
All right,
a
shout out
lot.
to.
Yeah. One thing, can I just use this opportunity, this opportunity, right? Because I thought that this is a free course. And I'm just going to share my screen, Ethan. Oh yeah, it's shared.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a free course in SGX, and together with Societe. So what Societe did is to ask me to structure a course, right, for people who wants to trade into the momentum stocks. As you know, for DLCs, we tap into the short-term movement, and for short-term movement, we want to play that momentum or inertia. Okay, so how do you know that? Where are the short-term movement that's coming, and how to make an entry? So what I did in this 3 hours course is to do special things that I don't think you've seen before. For example, how do we box up prices? How do we use the auto box and box up prices to spot your support resistance easily in 3 seconds? So for example, when we look at support resistance, we don't really draw that. All right, what we do is we actually box it up. Okay, so you can see that I have boxes here. All right, and we can see that levels very quickly. For example, that's a box high, a box low. So all these will be taught in the 3 hours SGX session. So you just go into sgxacademy.com and search for this stocks here, which happens, the next one happens on the 26th of May. We've been running this for fourth round. Coming May is fifth round, and the last one would be in June. That's the sixth round, the last one. Okay, so do try to attend this course because it's a free course and it's with the good intention by Societe to educate everybody of you. Not really to say that you need to trade DLCs, all right? Of course, we hope that you trade DLCs because it's an instrument that you want to consider to add into your portfolio. But there's a lot of, I would think, a lot of interesting and educational stuff inside here. So it's really a full strategy course at $0 to you guys. Let me just answer a few questions, Ethan. All right.
Yes,
I think.
okay. Give me a minute. Okay, Mr. Gary Fu has a question. Do you avoid certain events when trading, such as FOMC or earnings?
Okay, so when it comes into stocks, I tend to avoid into earnings. All right, but if I have, let's say, a losing position that I can't avoid in earnings, then I will hedge it. I'll always hedge my position. So, for example, if it's a stocks in the Hong Kong side, I will hedge with the DLCs. Okay, so if I'm long the stocks, I will hedge with a short. Short DLCs. Okay, in case that bad things happen. Because one of the things about DLC is that the amount that you will lose is the price that you paid for. Okay, so that's a very good hedge. So if the US stocks, then that would be to hedge with the option. All right, and I don't specifically avoid certain events, meaning that even if it's FOMC, I would just go in if it's for the forex trades, etc. Because usually the strategy I'm playing, right? If you realize it, we are able, okay, we are capable, okay, not all the time is true, but we are capable to sort of predict the directions. So I don't avoid key events. All right. In fact, that the recent FOMC, we also traded into that for the forex side. But personally, I don't like to trade into NFP, okay, non-farm payroll. So last Friday we had NFP. I don't like that because in a Friday and it's 8:30 or 9:30, depending on daylight saving, and that's almost like the time I want to chill already. I want to like cool out and I don't want to look at it, so I don't trade into NFP. Okay, but other than that, I don't avoid events. Okay. For example, I thought that JD would be a very, very nice thing to look up for because they have their earnings coming up. Okay, and you want to sort of use the DLCs to, if you want to trade into the earnings, because let's say you pay $500 for your DLCs, okay, and you expect these earnings to be eventful. All right, that means it's going to move, right? The maximum loss that you're going to have, all right, for the earnings, it's $500 that you paid for the DLC, assuming that it's bomb out. But in any case, that is profitable, and JD really move up from this level here, then that's going to be very, very profitable. Okay, so that's usually how I trade with the DLCs into the earnings. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Binni, for answering the question. I think we got no more questions, and thank you everyone for tuning in this moving market. So just an update, right? Desmond will actually be on paternity leave, right? So once again I congratulate to my brother out there, right? He's finally being a father. So we will resume moving markets in the upcoming weeks, lah. Okay.
Okay,
Just to
that's
give
good to
everybody a
hear.
heads up,
I hope that
right?
he's sleeping well because usually for fathers, right, and mothers, we don't get to sleep during that confinement month.
Oh man, that's crazy. Okay, I hope he's doing well. We'll do some updates on when is the next session lah. But stay tuned. All right. All
Okay,
right.
thanks a lot
Thank you,
for
Binni.
inviting me. Thanks a lot. Goodbye, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Binni. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye.